Good morning, everybody. I wanted to do a quick video on some positives and negatives to this little tire mineral trough that I made. Made it from a tire. Wanted to make a mineral trough that was about as cheap as I could possibly figure out how to make. I experimented with a couple different ways, and the thing is I had enough mineral troughs at some point, but then as I expanded, got to where I needed some more. Just because we have a couple places down the road that aren't connected to us, and then we've got so it's easier to just have a mineral trough there rather than to, because we move our cows, so typically I move my mineral trough with my cows. But then another thing is so it's a couple miles down the road, so I have not got to where I'm moving my cows down the road like Greg Judy does. And I may be able to do that one day, but so far we're not doing that. I'm just one guy. I barely have my wife here to help me. She still works the day job. And even if I did that, I don't know that I'd want to drag that mineral trough. It's such small. They would only be there, if I did do that, they would only be there for maybe a week or two over there. So I kind of want to just leave a mineral trough there. Plus, that's where I take my bulls when I take my bulls off of my when I take them off of my my cows. I only take them off for about 3 months and then leave them on for about 9 months out of the year. But anyway, so it's nice to have several different mineral troughs. But then there's also several spots. Y'all know that I like to move my mineral troughs and put it in places like this right here, where it's a bad spot here. They're gonna go after that mineral, and notice I placed it right in the middle there, and they're gonna get on both sides of that and trample that in. So I want you to look at that area. This spot used to be all thistles like this. It was nothing but berry vines and thistles and everything else, and it was all the way across all of that. Like every bit was just as high as that fence right there. And every time I come into this pasture, I put my mineral trough somewhere in here, so I can get a four-wheeler in here just fine. So I've always been able to bring my four-wheeler. But the point is that I've slowly gotten this to better and better forage, just simply by mineral trough placement. And this is a small spot, but every time I move them, I find another small spot. So anyway, so that kind of adds up and takes care of spots without ever having to do anything. And I can't, this pasture is really difficult to get a tractor in. I can get a four-wheeler. But another benefit to this is, to this little small one, is that, or one benefit is that it is so light and easy to pick up, especially when, I mean, that's with 50 pounds of mineral in it right now, and it's just, you can't do your choice mineral because it's so small. So you got to get a multi mineral, and there's enough room in there to put a mineral and then a salt in there. Now, if I did it again, I'd do a slightly bigger tire for sure. But anyway, so it's nice because there are places that I can't even get to with my four-wheeler, but I'm able to get to with that. I can literally get that anywhere I want. I can put that, and then if it's empty, I mean, I can pick that thing up, throw it on the back of my four-wheeler. I can carry it wherever, it's not a problem. I can drag it while it's full around somewhere easy. It's just not a problem. So that's a definite positive. Another positive is that it was, I mean, I think if I bought all the material, if I bought everything new, I think it would cost me $50. You can pick up those tires a lot of times at tire shops for free. I already had the tire. It came off of an old trailer. It was blown out. No, well, not blown out, but it was just, it wouldn't hold air anymore. So I just used that tire. I just wanted to see if it would work, and did what I could. But kind of what my purpose behind doing this is, like I said, I was wanting another mineral trough. But another reason I wanted one was because we're looking at getting some sheep too, and I'm going to need a mineral trough for them. But anyway, so I just it's kind of handy to have a couple different ones because, like I said, there are some places that are just difficult, like to get into. Like, there are some places, some pastures I've got that the only entrances is straight through mud, and like the rest of the pasture is fine, but the only way I can get in is through a mud patch, and but anyway, so there's just places like that, and I don't really even want to drive my four-wheeler and go dragging a big mineral trough through. So rather than not having any mineral in there for that pasture, I would prefer to have something really, really light like this. Plus, a lot of times if I'm doing some really tight strip grazing, for my really small herd, sometimes with that tight strip grazing, I don't even bring my four-wheeler in. I do it all on foot because I got such small areas. You know, if I had 300-400 cows, the area itself would be bigger. But if I'm doing, you know, smaller herd like I'm running, the area is very, very small and easily walkable, and it almost just makes more sense to walk it. So then in that case, these can come in handy too when I'm doing real tight stuff like that. So I just kind of bring this through with them. So those are kind of some positives. And like I said, if I built this thing brand new with all new material, I think it would cost me about 50 bucks. But I was able to find this old rubber that was, you know, so I'm pretty sure it was almost free. This thing cost me $2. That's what it cost me. It cost me $2 to build because I got everything else. I already had this. This was an old strap that messed up, and then I already had the piece of treated wood in there. But the bottom, and I got another video, a YouTube short I put out on there. The bottom is actually one fence picket that I bought. It was under $2 when I bought that fence picket. And anyway, I got a cow behind me sniffing at me. But anyway, so that one fence picket covered the bottom. And go check out that YouTube short, and you'll see it on there. You can go to my channel and look through that, and you'll see the way I did the fence picket. Just screwed it back down in there, and it worked excellent. But then you can see that I took this and put some bolts through, some lag bolts through, some nice long 3-inch lag bolts into that, and then that's also how I fastened this. And that way you're never pulling on your rubber, you're pulling all the way across everything. And then another thing about all of my mineral troughs that I find is this strap of wood is key. Because even when you put the washer on top, it still the screw seems to bust through there. When you throw that strap of wood up there, I mean, that's exposed, and this is untreated. But I mean, in my mind, it may, you know, it'll rot away eventually, but this one will. But for the cost of that right there, that little small piece, you know, you might as well just go ahead and do it. It works great. But anyway, so that's kind of the positives. I would say the negatives is that it is light enough that the cows can push it around. So if it's, they could push it down a hill, you know, if you got it up on a hillside or something, push it into a creek, you know, so you might want to be cautious about where you put it. Another negative I would say is that it's so easy to lose. Like if you've got a primary mineral trough, you know, your primary one, you shouldn't be losing that one because you should be dragging it with you all the time and know where it's at. But one of these is a little easy to lose because you're leaving it behind. You only bring it into a few places. And then if you come in with a brush hog, you know, you could potentially hit it. I've never done that, but you could potentially hit it. And that's why I do try to make sure I know exactly where it's at. A lot of times you know, it's light enough, I'll go throw it up near a tree or something, or something, or up close to a fence or something, so I know where it's at for sure, you know. But anyway, so that's just kind of some, I would say that was a couple of the negatives. But I mean, for 50 bucks, or if you can, you know, find salvage material, you can get this thing for really, really cheap. I would use the treated lumber in the bottom and in here, just because that salt is really hard on it, and that treated lumber is going to last a lot longer. And one of the other things I like about this is all of my fasteners, the majority of my fasteners are not exposed at all. So the biggest problem with mineral troughs is really that the exposed portion of the metal fastener. The non-exposed part seems to last, just seems to hold up just fine, but it's the exposed portion that always seems to give out. So that's one good thing I like about that. This was a really old piece, so it actually holds over just a little bit easier than I would like it to. I prefer this tension where I have to hold it and it flops back down, so I'll have to do something to stiffen that up. And this is preferred when you have to put your foot down on it. But you can see that's the picket under there. I just cut it to fit in there. But I like to use the treated, I mean, all fence pickets are treated, but that's why I bought it, because fence pickets are cheap, they're thin, and they're treated. You know, it's about the cheapest treated lumber that I can find, especially in our day and age. But I really like this thing because I feel like that this is actually going to hold up longer than my other one. And then once it finally does, you know, expire, all of this will still be good. You know, you'll pretty much, all you'll have to change out is your piece here and then your bottom piece, you know. Worst case, you just rebuild the whole thing and throw the old one away. But anyway, I think it's going to last for quite some time. So anyway, guys, just kind of wanted to show that. It's a pretty handy little trough. Didn't really mean for the video to stretch out for 10 minutes, but it's a handy little trough to have around, and especially if you're just getting started, you know, with the big prices of lumber and stuff. You know, I want to get into a choice mineral program. I haven't done that yet because I can't find anyone close enough to me for me to go buy it from. But I still do have some diversity of stuff that I use. Anyway, but this might be a really good thing for someone to get started, you know, a good way to get started, and then it's just a good handy backup and all like that. So anyway, guys, thanks. Don't forget to like and subscribe.